I just want to say that all the content in this video is alleged. All the sources that I have used will be linked down below, but I am sharing this content in accordance with fair use policy. I am sharing it because I am a fashion blogger. I'm also sharing it because I'm discussing and commenting on it and giving my opinion. So this video is purely my opinion. Please do your own research. Hi guys. I'm assuming that if you are watching this video that you have seen my last video on the topic of Balenciaga. So if you haven't seen that video, I would like for you guys to watch it because it is very detailed and it covers a lot of information that the world needs to know. So please go ahead and click the link in the description and watch that video first if you can, and then come back and watch this video. So if you have already seen that video, then I would classify this video as part 2. Now, the Balenciaga scandal. I'm still baffled to this very day, and it has been weeks since I filmed that video. And I know that you guys were asking me to film a part 2 and you really wanted to see a part 2, and I truly just needed the time not only to research but also the time for my soul as well, because I discovered that, you know, and people did warn me about this as well in the comments, that the further you go down this rabbit hole of uncovering the sick and sinister behavior that's in the fashion industry, that's in the elite world, it takes a toll on your soul. If you know anyone that is unaware of what has happened with Balenciaga and their scandal with child exploitation, with their adverts, and the very deep rabbit hole that has been uncovered with Balenciaga. But if you know anyone who has not seen that video, please share that to them so they can become familiar, because we need to spread the word and we need to talk more and more about this in order to protect the children. So that brings me to today's video. Today we're actually going to be discussing the Kering Group. And in particular, we're going to be discussing one of the companies that the Kering Group owns, or they own, you know, directly, but we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. And then we're also going to be discussing Gucci. So we're going to talk about Gucci towards the second half. The first half, we're going to more specifically discuss Christie's auction. But firstly, before I dive into this video, I would appreciate that if you are new to my channel or you aren't subscribed, I would love if you would subscribe. And the reason that I ask you to is that even if you might not watch any of my other content, my fashion content, if you subscribe and you like this video, it will push this video up into the recommended algorithm for YouTube. So hopefully that will give the video more exposure. And that's what I also ask that you do with the Balenciaga video as well. If you haven't liked that video, please like it. And yeah, like I said, please subscribe as well so we can get these videos up into the algorithm. Now I am going to have to, I'm going to try and censor a little bit less, because I know that some of you guys were bothered by it, but there is a reason why I had to censor a lot of the words, and that is because if I didn't, it could cause the video to be flagged as very shocking content. So there is shocking content allowed on YouTube, but only journalists that are registered as journalists and known as news outlets to YouTube are allowed to convey very shocking content. Everybody else who just does blogging on YouTube, once you go beyond that threshold of just standard shocking content and you go to very shocking content, it can cause your video to be shadow banned. And by shadow banning will mean that the video is not going to appear in the recommended. And that's why I do have to, unfortunately, censor some particular words that could trigger that shadow banning to happen. Now I'm going to give you a bit of history into Kering, because I think that's very important that we know the backstory and we know the facts. In 1992, the French entrepreneur Francois Pinault transferred his majority stake in Pinault Printemps Redoubt, renamed Kering in 2013, to his new company, Groupe Artemis, created as a family investment vehicle. At the 1990s, he engaged in a series of prestigious acquisitions. In layman's terms, that means that he acquired a lot of luxury brands throughout the 1990s. So the majority stake for Kering is owned by the Pinault family. So it is essentially their company, because they are the majority stakeholder, and they might have tiny little shareholders here and there who might own 9%, 10%, whatever. But they have the majority stake and they are the majority shareholder. That means that they own the company. If you actually go to the Kering website, The biography there says Francois Henry Pinault joined the Pinault Group in 1987. He held senior positions in several of the group's operating subsidiaries before becoming an executive board member. In 2000, he was appointed deputy CEO of PPR, which became Kering, responsible for the group's digital strategy. 3 years later, he was named chairman of Artemis, Kering's controlling shareholder. In 2005, Francois Henry Pinault was appointed chairman and CEO of Kering, which he gradually transformed into a global luxury group. So Francois Henry Pinault is the president and chairman of Group Artemis, is also the chairman and CEO of Kering. Now, if you go over to the Kering website and click on houses, there you will see that Kering owns Saint Laurent, Bottega Veneta, Balenciaga, Alexander McQueen, Warney, I don't actually know that company, and Gucci. Those are the luxury brands that Kering owns. So obviously, key thing there is that they own Balenciaga, but also the key thing there is that they own Gucci. If you scroll down a little bit further, you can see that there are some jewelry brands that they own. And then you can see below they have Kering Eyewear. And it says here that they are the one and only luxury eyewear company. And this is where it actually gets kind of interesting too, is that people may not be aware that this Kering company actually owns not only the brands that I just mentioned, but they also own the rights to producing Cartier sunglasses and glasses, Chloe as well, and also Puma, which is another big name. And then there's a couple other brands that I don't quite know of. So that is something to also keep in mind, that Kering Group actually owns the glasses and sunglasses aspect for these other brands. Now, if we go over to Wikipedia, it also says here with Group Artemis that they control and own the auction house Christie's since 1998. Now, this is where we're going to really dive into the first part of this video, and this is all about Christie's auction house. And I'm going to say I actually knew of Christie's auction house. I actually have shared their videos in the past, and that is because they are one of the pretty much the most well-known auction house when it comes to luxury designer handbags, and that is exactly what I specialize in. So I already knew of Christie's auctions. They have sold the most expensive Hermes Birkin bags through their auction house, limited edition Louis Vuittons that are ultra coveted, limited edition Chanel's that are ultra coveted, like you name it. There is so much luxury fashion on Christie's auction. So there is absolutely no doubt that Christie's auction is pulling in a lot of revenue for Group Artemis, no doubt about it. But why they are being pulled up goes beyond just luxury handbags, because that's all I sort of knew. But I actually have uncovered, and I first seen this on TikTok. Unfortunately, I cannot find her video anymore, but she exposed, there is an artist that has had their artwork sold on Christie's auction that comes into grave question about the kind of things the very rich are spending their money on. And it goes into question of the moral ethics of the Kering company. Now, the artist in question, well, it's 2 artists actually. They are British artists called Jake and Dinos. This is very graphical, and I'm gonna sort these sold lots by high to low. And when you sort them by high to low, this is where I also feel like it's very interesting. So I'm gonna include the screenshot of the sorting of high to low. The first artwork that has been sold on Christie's auction by Jake and Dinos Chapman, the highest value one is still quite gross. Like it's disgusting. Like, it is essentially a man that's been his head chopped off. The mannequins are showing as though they have been attacked in the private parts. Though this is disturbing, my most important focus is child safety, child protection. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt and I will dismiss that as art. So if you scroll just a little bit down, like 6 artworks down, there is a disgusting, despicable artwork, and there is more of them like this. That's what is horrible. So this artwork is called Zygotic Acceleration, and whilst I cannot show you this artwork in complete graphic detail, I'm going to describe it to you, and I'm going to put it on the screen somewhat censored. There's around about 13 or so girls in this artwork. This is all sculptural mannequins. So they essentially just look like mannequins. They are conjoined together in like a circular sort of shape. Some of them are upside down, some of them are, most of them are actually standing up. They're all wearing black sneakers, and on some of the girls' face, I think there's at least, because I cannot see the other side of this artwork, I would say there's probably at least 7 or 8 of these young teenage girls. They look like they're between the ages of 12 and 17 perhaps. On their face, where their noses would be, are male erect organs. Below that looks like it is a butthole. I would like to say that most moral and normal people are going to find this sculpture absolutely disgusting, horrendous, questionable as to whether this is even art. Like, to me, this is not art. This is just some kind of glorified child exploitation being excused as art. That aside, I want to actually draw you to the price that this sold for. So it was estimated to go between 200 to 300,000 pounds. This is pounds, not USD, not AUD, pounds. It sold for just over 218,000 pounds. And the auction was closed on the 29th of July, 2016. Clearly, the person who has bought this for over 218,000 pounds, and let me just convert that. Let me just convert that to USD and AUD just for research purposes. This sold for $392,000 Australian. In USD, that's $263,000 USD. Whoa. That is like the price of a small apartment in Australia. $392,000. Even that could even be a house. It's even a house in some areas of Australia. So clearly someone who is willing to pay that much money for this kind of disgusting art is clearly very freaking rich. And clearly, to me, it looks like they probably fall into some kind of elite society. Now, to be fair, not all rich people are in that kind of society. Some rich people just go about their lives and you wouldn't even know it. You wouldn't even know that they're ridiculously rich. But then there are rich people that fall into different groups of like an elite society. Not all of them are bad. But to me, this is bad. If you were the kind of rich person, rich elite person buying this kind of art, that to me is extremely questionable. The next artwork that is sold for that next highest price is called wow, this has got multiple names, because what this actually was multiples of their mannequins being sold as like a display. So you were buying it as a complete display, and these mannequins being positioned in such a way that is quite obviously, you know, portrayal of child exploitation. So I'm not going to go ahead and read out the names because there are multiple names for an artwork that was being sold as a collective, but I'm going to describe to you what I kind of can see in this artwork. So at the very front of the art, there is a mannequin that has an additional conjoined girl. So these are all those same girls that are in that zygotic acceleration art. So they're all those young kind of girls that are between the ages of 12 and probably 17 years old. And there is a conjoined girl that has a conjoined girl at the back of her, and she's wearing black sneakers and she's completely unclothed. And then in the back corner, there is another unclothed girl that is conjoined, and it looks like she is with like a younger girl that is, you know, perhaps maybe even much younger than any of the girls that I mentioned. And then in the back, there looks like there is girls that are doing some kind of SE act. And one of the girls has one of the male organs on her face where her nose should be, and then again there is a butthole on her face where her mouth would be. And then over in the other corners there is what looks like SE acts. Again, all these girls are unclothed. Makes me feel really sick to my stomach. So the estimated price for this was around about £125,000, and it sold for £151,875. And the date that this was sold was in 2013, October. This is all dates when Groupe Artemis has already owned Christie's auction since 1998, and Francois Henry Pinault, who owns Kering, or who's the chairman and CEO of Kering, and is also the chairman and president of Groupe Artemis, he's already in control while all of this is being sold. Like, he's well and truly been in control for like a good solid decade already at this point. Okay, so the next one is a little bit further down, that price realized high to low, is one that is called F Face. And this is just a single toddler. This is a baby. I don't even want to say this, but this is like my son's age. Far out. That, oh, I feel really, yeah, I feel this is horrible. But it has to be done. You know what? It has to be done. It has to be said. These kind of videos have to be made to bring awareness to everyone. But this artwork sold for, well, it had a lower estimate actually. It was expected to sell for between 30 to 40,000 pounds and ended up selling for just over 115,000 pounds. Because I have to censor this art, it has a erect male organ where the nose would be. And again, it has a sphincter. I'm going to start to say the word sphincter, but you know what I mean. It's that muscle that surrounds the, you know, down there, but I just don't want to keep repeating the other word I was saying just in case. This kind of art really could be completely and totally exploited. That's what's so disturbing about it, that this art could physically be exploited. And they are made in, like, they're essentially mannequins. They are fiberglass, resin, paint, fabric, wig, and trainers. That's what this is that they are made of. Okay, so if we move along to the next one, right next to a piece of disgusting art. This was sold in February 2011. It sold for just over 91,000 pounds, and this is called Two-Faced See You Next Tuesday. And just take each letter from what I just said to spell that out for yourself. And on this mannequin, so this is again a young girl, probably this mannequin looks like it's probably actually even younger than the other girls. It looked like it could be between the ages of around about, say, 4 years old to potentially 10 years old. So this is a very young girl portrayed in a mannequin wearing only sneakers, and it's got a conjoined head. And in between those two conjoined heads is a female organ in the lower nether region. Now, the other thing that I failed to mention, Francis Henry is actually married to Selma Hayek. Look, that doesn't really have a whole heck of a relevance, but that is really random. And I also think that that goes to show they don't care about children. They don't care about potentially child exploitation. They don't care at all. To them, seems to me it's just always about money. But let's return to the subject at hand. This one is called F Face. This was closed in 2005, this auction, and it sold for 45,600 pounds. This one has, again, a male erect organ where the nose would be and a sphincter for the mouth. The other one that sold for 85,000 USD, so this is actually in USD prices. So this was auctioned, I assume, in the US, closed in May 2008. So if this was sold in the US, I mean, that just goes to show this is not just something that has happened in Christie's auction in the UK. This is happening in the US as well. And this artwork is all unclothed girls. They're all conjoined kind of in the shape of like a horse, and then their heads go up into that position, and then on top of their heads they have those male erect organs, kind of to look like sort of devil horns. Like I said, these are all young kids. None of these are actually portrayed as adult sculptures at all. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you get exactly what I am showing you guys. There is more art of this nature, all again with those either the male organs or the female organs, all on mannequins or resin fiberglass art sculptures. All of them are underage. They're all kids. They're all kids. So I'm going to leave some images on the screen, and they will be censored, but there are multiple other ones that have sold. All of this artwork could most definitely be exploited by a sick and twisted person. For the sake of more research purposes, I am going to include a bit of a screen roll and some images of some of the other art that this artist has done, other than the ones that I have just told you about, because they have plenty of them, and there is plenty of those that have sold on Christie's auction. I'm going to leave a link to where you can actually view the sold items on Christie's auction. But if it doesn't work when you click that link, because I notice that sometimes it doesn't pop up, just go ahead and search for sold items and type in Jake and Dino's, and all of the sold items will come up. For the sake of actually quoting what the artist's reasoning is for this kind of art. Okay, I'm going to quote some of what they've said, but then I'm going to leave the rest of it on the screen because some of it does have some words that I have to censor. They're so desperate to place everything in a comfortable box, and they meaning us people, everybody, that the moment you put something in front of them that doesn't fit in with this, they run around screaming with their heads off. Which is the reaction we were trying to provoke. The effect is more interesting than the object. They're like moral hand grenades in galleries. But if you go into a gallery, you should be expecting to see things like that. That's what a gallery is. A place where you leave your baggage by the door and you look around and hopefully you see something that makes you think a little. Now, with that kind of explanation, you kind of go, okay, well, kind of see a little bit where you're going with this. But my counter argument to that is, why did they have to be minors? Why couldn't they be adults? It still would inspire people to run around screaming with their heads off because it's weird, but at least it wouldn't be children. That's what's so messed up about it. And then my thought on this is, why would Christie's auction sell this kind of art, right? So we already know it's twisted, it's sick, it's morally wrong, it's so inappropriate, it's child exploitation. People that have money are buying this kind of art, clearly have a lot of money. And potentially people could be exploiting it. But why I believe that Christie's is selling it without scrutiny, without moral regard, for a couple of reasons why they would be selling it. I would say the main reason is because of money. They know very well that this kind of art could be sold to the very rich elite who are exploiting children, who are sick, who are twisted. They know that there is a minority of kind of things that could be sold. They know that this market is untapped. Christie's know that you cannot just go to Walmart and buy that kind of exploitation material. They know that. But they can excuse it as art and they could sell it as art. And they know very well that they're a very rich elite that would love this, that would get off of on this, and that would use the mannequin for horrible, horrible things. And they know that that is a market that is untapped and that it's very minimal, that anyone who is sick and twisted and exploiting children in that matter would love this. And they know very well that there is a market for those kind of people. That there are twisted and sick people that have money that are into this. And to them it's money. An untapped market. And also, they don't care. They don't care about children. We already know that because Christie's auction is owned by Groupe Artemis. Groupe Artemis has Kering in its portfolio. Balenciaga is owned by Kering. You see that this is a pattern happening here? None of these companies, which are all linked to Kering Group and fall under Groupe Artemis, none of them care about children. None of them care how any of this could potentially lead to child exploitation. But even in the Kering Group, he chairs the Kering Foundation. This is Francois-Henri Pinoir, founded in 2008 to combat violence against women. So he cares about violence against women, according to him, says 2 causes that are particularly close to his heart. But does he not care about potentially implicated violence towards children? So we already know the Balenciaga campaign was implicated exploitation. These art sculptures could very well be used as exploitation on children. That brings me to my next point. Gucci. Like I said, Gucci is owned by Kering Group. Now, firstly, I want to start off with the most shocking thing that I discovered. And I must thank someone who commented on the video. I don't know if they're a subscriber. But they said Gucci must be cancelled because they follow Claudia Mate. When I went to the Gucci profile, if you actually look up Gucci, you will see that they follow Claudia Mate. And Claudia Mate is one of those artists that I mentioned in the Balenciaga scandal video, where Lotta Volkova, who was a stylist or is a stylist for Balenciaga, posted a few of Claudia Mate's artwork on her Instagram, and it was by Claudia Mate. And out of all the people that Gucci follows, they follow 292 people. That's not much. I think on my Instagram, I follow more than 600 people, and I've only got 18,000 followers. Gucci's got millions, and they follow only 292 people. And of those 292 people, they happen to follow Claudia Mate. And if you go to Claudia Mate, and you have a look at her Instagram, the kind of art that she does, it's twisted. It's disturbing. And there's that artwork that I remember mentioning when I did the Balenciaga scandal, that it looks like a baby dressed up in makeup and nails. And so yeah, it's a toddler who's got adult mannerisms. Oh, here we go. Isn't that interesting? Then there's an artwork. Did a video game during confinement at Balenciaga. Isn't that funny? So this artist has created like a digital world inspired by Balenciaga. Out of all the brands, like big major luxury brands, it's just Balenciaga that seems to be there. I urge you to go and have a look at the Instagram so you see exactly what I'm saying and you see everything with it. And this is also the artist as well that had the shark. It said baby shark do 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 do, and it actually had a baby inside the shark's mouth, and like it was literally a baby. And this artist is followed by Gucci. If that doesn't tell me how twisted and messed up Gucci and Kering Corporation is, and Group Artemis, I don't know what does, because it just all lines up in that way. The next one that I actually want to bring to your attention is a Gucci campaign that was done in August of 2022, just in case I've uploaded this video after New Year's. And it was a campaign, it was a Gucci campaign in honor to Stanley Kubrick, I suppose. Well, it was their campaign, but they were just using films that were done by Stanley Kubrick, kind of like in their ad campaign. And some of the key ones that they've actually used, which really shows to me that they don't care about children. It really just reiterates the point. So they've got campaign ads that are inspired by The Shining. There's multiple campaign photos with really young kids that they look like they're under the age of 10. And these are with adult models. So this is an adult campaign. They're not modeling children's clothing. You guys already know, but when I did that Balenciaga video, I said children do not belong in adult fashion campaigns. They do not belong in any kind of advertising that is actually geared towards adults. They don't need to be there. Why do they need to be there? The adult model who is advertising the Gucci X Adidas gear. See, this was a Gucci X Adidas campaign. Adidas X Balenciaga. Clearly Adidas need to be boycotted as well. I will not be buying anything Adidas no more, never again. I refuse to buy anything from them because I know that they had a part in that Balenciaga campaign. They would have seen the photos and they still went ahead with it. And yeah, clearly they're here as well, happy to bring children into adult fashion where they're not needed. I also want to make note as well that this same campaign that was paying tribute to Stanley Kubrick, I don't think it was that. I think they were just using all the films that he had done to inspire their ad campaign. There's also some campaign photos that are for Eyes Wide Shut. Again, another kind of movie that goes to show the alleged sick and twisted world of the people that have a lot of money. The ones that are in that elite society that are doing these god-awful things. So yeah, there's a bit of the campaign that's actually representation of Eyes Wide Shut. And I thought that was, I mean, this just all just lines up to me as showing the kind of mentality that the whole company, Kering, likely has. And okay, the other part that Gucci has done recently as well is a very recent ad campaign that was just launched in December with Harry Styles. And this is for the Gucci HAHAHA campaign. And in the campaign, it's got Harry Styles, who is a very grown adult man, carrying what looks like a kid's mattress, because the mattress is smaller than him. There is no way he would be sleeping on that kind of mattress. He's also wearing a t-shirt that has got a bear on it. And you know, there are other brands that put bears on shirts, and Gucci's done bears on shirts, but I just think it's inappropriate. Especially when you put it in this context where you're bringing children into your ad campaigns, or you're bringing clear, obvious references to children into your ad campaigns, and then coupled with bears. Like, bears are clearly some kind of symbolic representation there. Why they are putting bears in clearly is saying something as to whether it's just, you know, if it's referring to something sinister, or if it's just referring to something else that's, you know, not sinister. And still, to me, it seems inappropriate because you've got just a child implication there when you've got a mattress that doesn't fit a man. It's for clearly a kid, and a grown man wearing a bear shirt.
Found this video on Instagram, and I don't know for sure if it is a part of the Harry Styles Gucci. It is under the hashtag for Gucci HAHAHA, so it would make me believe that potentially it is a part of that campaign shoot, and maybe they didn't use the photos, because as you can see, there is a baby in this campaign with Harry Styles in his underwear, and the baby is quite clearly distressed. I think it's quite obvious that this whole context of that is extremely inappropriate.
This brings me to the final things that I wanted to bring up about Gucci as well. And you may not be aware, now, to give a slight backstory, Gucci was sold to Kering, the Kering Group, like I said, in 1998, and I believe it was finalized in 2004. So Gucci was an Italian company but the majority owner, like, you know, who owns, because if you're the majority stakeholder, that means you're the owner of the company, and it's owned by Kering Group. So whoever is working for Gucci has been hired by Kering Group. So that includes the CEO, creative directors, all that sort of stuff. They've all been hired by Kering Group. And there is a lady named Alexandra Gucci Zerini. She's actually the granddaughter of Aldo Gucci. And Aldo Gucci was actually the eldest son of the founder, Guccio Gucci. So he was the eldest son, and he ran the company and owned the company as well before it was sold to Kering in, let's just say, 1998. Alexandra, who is the heiress to Gucci, you know, it's her namesake. She's married, and that's why she's also taken on her husband's surname, Zerini. She actually has a court case at the moment where she is suing her stepfather, Joseph Ruffalo, her mother, Patricia Gucci, and her grandmother, Bruno Palombo. She's suing them because for 16 years, she was SE child exploited by her stepfather, Joseph Ruffalo. So she's suing him, her mother, who was complicit and didn't do anything, didn't protect her, and her grandmother as well, who allegedly was covering up for the stepfather while he was exploiting her and alting her for 16 years, between the ages of 6 and 22 years old. What has happened to her is awful. And apparently, allegedly as well, it also happened to her sister too, Victoria. But it is actually Alexandra Gucci Zerini who has founded the Alexandra Gucci Foundation, which is a non-for-profit organization that serves to protect and advocate for children around the world. Now, she does have a very compelling message, a very moving message, which shares about what had happened to her. And I'm going to include some excerpts of it in a moment. What I still want to refer to is the Harry Styles campaign. And she's actually called it out as well on her Instagram. And I'll leave this link down below. She says, Gucci was created to be the most elegant brand with the highest quality product. The direction it seems to be taking now is concerning. The protection of children should always come first and not to be laughed at. I mean, she's got a very valid point. The campaign is Gucci, ha ha ha, but it's a child's mattress with a grown man wearing a teddy bear t-shirt. It's very weird and it's inappropriate. It just sends this twisted message. She also posts, just prior to that, she posted this as well. This is to @Gucci. Why would you create a performance piece with a toddler's mattress and an adult man? My concerns are that there seems to be a common ideology across Kering's fashion houses. And I'm really proud that she's calling them out. All that she's gone through in her life for those 16 years, exploited by her stepfather. And then she's seeing all of this, and this is in her namesake as well. Like, one can only imagine how she feels as well as a victim. She also calls out Demna on her Instagram, and she calls him out for his apology. She says, unacceptable. We do not want an apology. It means nothing. Crimes against children are crimes against humanity. Those responsible need to be held accountable. This campaign was degrading and offensive towards small children. This campaign was child exploitation with a serious crime and should be taken extremely seriously. As a mother, I'm honestly disgusted. It is unacceptable. This is not fashion. At Balenciaga, at Kering Official, at Demnagram, at Kering Foundation. The irony, you know, Kering Foundation is like what I said to you, which is violence against women. But look, they didn't even care about children. This is a crime. And it's not being taken seriously. There seems to be no investigation into it. The media is all hush. You don't see any of the mainstream media talking about what happened with the Balenciaga scandal. You don't see any of the mainstream media calling out the CEO of Kering and the chairman, president of Group Artemis for what's being sold at Christie's auction. You don't see any of that. It's only people that are speaking up on platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram that are actually calling this to attention. She calls out the Balenciaga campaign, and she's got the photos of when they've exploited children with those bears. And she said, the recent ad campaign by Balenciaga, a company owned by Gucci's parent Kering, is children in a shocking way is absolutely disgraceful. It shows the deep inroads predators are making in our society. This has nothing to do with fashion. The fashion industry has a long history of SE exploiting and ABUing minors and young adults. A history that has never been appropriately addressed, which seems to have led the senior executives at Kering and creative directors at Balenciaga and Gucci to believe they are invincible and society will follow whatever they say is en vogue, even if it includes hurting children. She's so right. We cannot allow this to continue and allow them to marginalize any type of SE exploitation of children, whether online or anywhere else. This is not the first time the industry has overstepped, but it is one too many. This disgraceful behaviour also explains the very cold reception and strong pushback the Alexandra Gucci Children's Foundation received from Gucci in regards to a global partnership for the protection of children and the prevention of child SEAB that I offered to Gucci and Kering in 2021 to help address the many missteps the fashion industry has made over the past 30 years. And it shows here, this is my point as well, she's saying the same thing. We cannot allow this to continue and allow them to marginalise any type of SE exploitation of children. There is a market of people that are sick and twisted, and these brands are able to marginalize on that, and they're able to profit on that, just like they were doing with Christie's auction, just like they are doing, like they did with the Balenciaga campaign, just like Gucci is also doing as well. Because this is all money to them as well. They don't care about children, they don't care about protecting children, but they want your money, and they want our money. And by them doing what they're doing, they're also sending a message that they're advocating for predators. There is such a thing called karmic retribution. And karmic retribution means that they cannot be doing any wrong according to what they believe in if they're actually telling people clearly what their beliefs are and how they feel. So just like the Balenciaga campaign, they were outright telling us that they were peebos. They were telling us that that's what they are. And by them telling us exactly what they are and us still buying their product is essentially being complicit. It's essentially like saying, yeah, we know you're peebos and we're with you, we agree with you, we want to support you. I know that each brand has their own CEO, but I believe that there's also an overriding authority from Kering as well. So if Kering is part of the problem and they also are complicit in exploiting children, if they're complicit in it, which to me it seems as though they are, then it's like you're also supporting that. Again, that whole karmic retribution thing. So that's something that we really need to question ourselves, whether or not we can go forth supporting these brands, knowing what we know now, and knowing the karmic retribution, knowing what they're telling us directly outright, that this is where they stand. And it goes to show as well that she reached out to Gucci for a partnership for the protection of children, but she got a cold reception and a very strong pushback from Gucci that they didn't, it seems to me, allegedly, that they did not want to partner with her for the foundation for raising awareness and the charity for protecting children. I'm going to put her video on the screen and I'm going to react to it so you guys can see her strong and powerful message. And this is going to wrap up the video for us today, and then I want you to leave your comments in the description bar down below. So let's run through her video.
My name is Alexandra Zarini. I am filing a lawsuit against my stepfather, mother, grandmother, and others because I was by my stepfather, Joseph Ruffalo, from the age of 6 years old. My mother, Patricia Gucci, and grandmother, Bruna Palombo, did not protect me. They did not shield me. They allowed it to happen. But I am coming forward publicly today because as hard as this is for me, I feel it is my duty to expose the misconceptions about child and to raise awareness that every single day, we, as a society, are failing to protect the most vulnerable and innocent among us, our children.
I also want to say that she has actually uploaded this video 2 years ago. So for 2 years, there has been hardly any notice of her lawsuit. Like, it's hardly ever been mentioned, but it just really just goes to show that the mainstream media doesn't care.
If you think this doesn't happen here in Beverly Hills, then you should know that my perpetrator still lives in California, spends time at the Bel Air Country Club, and volunteers in your children's hospitals. This is not something that only happens to other families in other neighborhoods.
Hear that? She's telling us that it's not just people that are not doing well, not well off, you know, that kind of thing. This is elites. This is rich people that are perpetrators.
Or other countries. It is everywhere and happens to children in all countries, all states, all ethnic backgrounds, and all neighborhoods. I'm also speaking out because when I was I had no one to protect me, no one to save me, and no one who did anything about it. This is far too common. There needs to be accountability for those people who look away and who don't stop child from happening. That inaction is costing us lives and robbing children of their future.
Exactly. There needs to be accountability for those people who look away and don't stop it. And just the same thing, there needs to be accountability for Kering, Balenciaga, Gucci, who have willingly put children in their ad campaigns, in adult photo shoots, and then with SE content. There needs to be accountability.
Once children have been they will struggle to come forward because they believe they will be judged. But it is the perpetrators and those who protect them that need to be judged, not the survivors. Survivors of child, myself included, will tell you that this is one of the worst things that can happen to you. You lose your childhood, and you fight against the painful legacy leaves with you your entire life. In my late teens and early 20s, I experimented with for a couple of years to help deal with the memories and the trauma of my. It took me many years to become more grounded in who I was, and in some ways, I am one of the lucky ones. Talking about what happened to me saved my life. Without that communication, I would have been another statistic. A child who gets.
This is something that really occurred to me, is that she was so traumatized by it that she experimented with illicit substances to try and hide that pain. But just think of how many other children are in this situation where they're doing the same thing or worse, and it ends up that they, you know, no longer on this world, and innocent angels, you know. It's horrible.
Will have to live with this trauma their whole life. The average age a survivor comes forward is 52 years old. That is 34 years from the time they turn 18 to the time they are able to speak up about it. Statistically, there are as many as 50 million Americans today who have been
52 years old, the average age the survivor comes forward. Clearly it shows that as a society we are failing, that if that's the average age.
And many suffering in silence. If you are a celebrity, influencer, actor, politician, musician, educator, or a mother like me, or a father like my husband, fighting child needs to be your cause too. If you are in a position to raise awareness and help to protect just one child with your actions, then I'm asking you, emphatically, do whatever you can. I will both financially and personally commit as much as I can to this cause, and have started a charitable foundation which has one clear mission: to end child, and which will benefit from any award from this lawsuit. There are already so many courageous and bold survivors and advocates out there, and I plan to spend the next few months reaching out to a broad range of existing organizations to see what the needs are and what the gaps are to determine how our foundation can help. But I already know the most important step starts with all of us talking about the crisis of child sex out loud. We all have a responsibility to use our platforms, our voices, and our resources to protect our children and to end child. Thank you.
That is something that really moved me as well. Like, I watched this while I was preparing all my research, and there was one point actually I really questioned whether or not I was going to continue to do these videos, because I got worried, and I also was hurting my soul, you know. But most importantly, I got pretty paranoid. If I have a platform where I can bring up that there is this issue, this huge, not even issue, there's this huge problem, criminal behavior in the fashion industry, and I have a platform where I can speak about it, then it's my moral obligation to do so. If I don't do that, then like, what kind of person does that make me? Could I live with myself if I don't bring awareness, if I don't speak up about it? And that's not to say that this will be always the tone of my channel. I still want to do, and I still will continue to do, fashion unboxings, fashion handbag reviews, and all that sort of thing. But there are going to be brands, quite obviously, that I'm not going to be putting on my channel. If I'm doing a review on a brand, it's not going to be Balenciaga, it's not going to be Gucci. And I seriously am questioning, like, obviously I'm not going to buy from Christie's auction, but I never have, and I never will, quite obviously now going forward. But I seriously question the other brands that fall under the Kering group. And you've seen that there are eyewear brands there as well. The other brands, Saint Laurent, Bottega Veneta. Oh, look, I don't have any of their items, so I guess, you know, I can kind of get off a bit scot-free, but I do have Gucci items, and I definitely will not be buying any more Gucci items. I don't know if I feel motivated to even wear any of my Gucci items. Like, I mean, I'm the kind of person that just, like I said, I don't throw things out. I don't burn things, you know, because I have to work hard in order to buy this sort of stuff. It's definitely a case of I'm not going to be buying from them anymore. That's where I stand, and I'm glad that I'm continuing to talk about it. I'm glad that I have done this video today. Please, if you can share this video, please do, so we can raise more awareness. If you can please subscribe and like as well, so it helps with the algorithm to push this video up. I'm going to leave all the links down below for everything that I have mentioned, and please go ahead and read them so you can do your own research. And also as well, check out that Balenciaga video if you haven't already, and please share it on if you can, so we can continue to bring more awareness to this subject and we can hopefully make a change, because I mean, we have to protect the children. Let's get a discussion happening in the comments. Please leave your thoughts down below on this video. Leave your thoughts down below, anything you want to share with me. I know that some people have reached out to me with more content, and I will be doing a part 3, which is going to be more focused on Balenciaga again. So that will be coming a little bit later. Just like I said, give me some time in between because my soul needs it. But thanks for watching this video. Please continue to share and like, and leave your thoughts down below. Bye guys.